Welcome back to Jeff Koinange live here at Citizen Television. Wow, these young legislators are full of fire. Firebrand, as Ledama Olekina from Narok County says, that's what they are. And this is the future of Kenya, by the way, and it's good to know. They're full of fire, and yes, they're outspoken. Narok County's Ledama Olekina, Nakuru County's Susan Kihika. Before we go on, real quick, any regrets about getting into politics? I know your dad was in politics for many years. You jumped in the deep end. Any regrets, real quick?
Well, no. I would say there have been some low moments, obviously, because sometimes it's really difficult. But at the end of the day, you achieve a lot more. And as long as I'm able to make a difference for my people in Nakuru County and now for Kenya at large, then at the end of the day, it's okay.
I've known you for 30 years. Plus.
Yes.
Plus.
You guys
Long
are old.
time.
You guys are old.
Yeah, you know, we started off
as
journalists.
Oh, yeah.
And he was a great journalist. This guy was, well.
No regrets.
No regrets.
I mean, sometimes I wish that we'll spend more time explaining to Kenyans what is the role of a senator, what is the role of a member of the National Assembly, and the role of an MCA.
Yeah.
Because some of the dirt we get is that, oh, you're not giving us any development, you've not brought anything. So that sometimes puts us down, and you just feel like, you know, I just wish. It's a calling for me.
Yeah.
And I am determined to go the whole 9 years to ensure that I can bring positive change to the people.
And you're hopeful. At the end of the day, you're both hopeful.
Absolutely.
Good for you.
Absolutely.
Good for you. Okay. Senator.
Yes.
You were part of that committee checking out the line items in the governor's budget.
Yes.
My friend, please help me out here, because when you see, State House events, 973 million. Peacekeeping in Juba or South Sudan, 500 billion.
Yes.
Free primary school education.
Yes.
Senator,
Now,
please,
let me put it this way.
Yeah.
We as a country do not understand our roles. There's something called accountability cycle.
Yeah.
That accountability cycle starts with us. Okay?
Yeah.
And we are accountable to Wanjiko. It starts with Parliament. We appropriate. We look at the budget, and then we pass the budget. That budget goes down to the county governments. When they go down to the county government, they are supposed to be able to implement it. In the county government, the MCAs approves a budget. Yep. Where we fail is involving the citizens from the onset for them to be able to understand. Yeah. All this mess you are seeing coming out of this Auditor General report is because of Treasury wanting to control this government. You know, they forget that we have two forms of government. What do I mean by that?
National.
We have a national government and we have a county government. Now Treasury sends out a template to be used for them to be able to report these program-based budgets. When they do that, in the county government, the accounting officers we have there who have got the fiduciary duty to ensure that the money is spent well are too lazy to be able to do the work properly. So they take a template and cut and paste. Allegedly, because I sit in this in CPIC.
Yes.
And when those reports come in, it became a little bit suspect when you see that the same figure is in one county as the other county. So it's a template. It's a national template. Treasury sent a national template, and they sent also a county government template. Right. But the county officers in the county governments end up being so lazy, and the governors are not doing anything as well. They don't follow the procedure set out under the Public Audit Act Section 31, which is very clear in terms of the auditing. Because if during this process the county governors are diligent, they should have been able to pick out that there are certain financial statements which they have submitted to the auditor to provide an opinion that had figures which were not appropriated in the first place by the county assemblies, and they were not approved by the control of budget.
Right.
So you'll find that there's a lot of misuse in county governments. You'll find we are so current. And my colleague Susan Kihika will tell you that this committee that I sit in is very current. We are looking at 2017, 2018 financial statements. When we look at those 2018 financial statements, like we started with the county of Lamu. When we looked at the county of Lamu, there was a lot of money, almost 1.2 billion, which was spent outside FMIS. So if you spend money outside IFMIS, there's no way that even IFMIS or even the Auditor General will be able to ascertain that that money was used the right way. So there are two issues happening here. Money is being spent outside IFMIS. Right. Nairobi County is another den of thieves. They withdrew 381 million shillings and paid in cash. In another transaction, 208 million shillings, payment in cash. The moment we set out our systems. So we've got system failures and we've got utter disregard of the rule of law and laziness in the county offices.
Let me come back a bit on that. We saw last week the hula baloo that came along with...
started with Kiambu County.
With Kiambu County.
Yes.
But having worked myself in the county, I was the Speaker of Nakuru County before I became a senator. And now being a senator, I also understand, I may not be in CPI committee, but I understand there is a way that you get money to do whatever expenditures you have at the county level. In my mind, and in any reasonable person's mind, there was no way that Governor Waitito could have spent money for State House functions or spent money for peace in South Sudan or that kind of madness that we saw. But at the same time, beyond the workers at the county level being lazy, maybe we also have lazy journalists. Because we should be asking questions too. Right. Like, is this possible? Right. This budget has to go through the county assembly. Correct. They have to approve it. Correct. So you want to tell me on what even voted would they be using to be able to get that money? To
approve.
Exactly, that.
So we'll talk about the voted.
For free primary education.
Yeah. Right.
Okay. So beyond the county assembly, then you also, because the media would always be there when the budget is being done, right. So you want to tell me nothing leaked about that. And
nobody
then
said anything.
Nobody said anything. And then you want to tell me the controller of budget actually released money for expenditures to the county governments for functions that are for national government. It doesn't even take a genius to know that's not possible.
Okay, so real quick, just so that I can understand, was this mischief or was this laziness on the part of the county financial, whatever, the treasurer guy, the guy in charge of money, or what is it?
I think we can't just say it's laziness. I'm worried that we may be having, let's see, the best term to use here. We may be having an Auditor General who needs to be put more to question. Like, what are you doing? Are you just inciting when you throw these things out like that? When, I mean, because you should be able to tell by the time it gets to the Senate and we are reading in the papers that Waitito is doing 800 retired presidents.
Correct.
Like, what are we talking about?
Correct.
So I think it's not just laziness, and he's been vindicated by what we've had from them.
Yes, with similar
we've seen other counties,
items.
but initially, everybody wanted to lynch Waitito. So as much as you don't like the man, we must also be reasonable.
Okay.
Yeah?
I see it a little bit different. I think that Waitito had a role to play, and he failed. Because the Public Audit Act Section 31 is very clear. When the audit process begins, there is an entry interview where they talk about the issues they're going to be talking about.
Yes.
You know, then during that entry interview, after they have done that, then they have an exit interview. And then after the exit interview, they're given a draft management letter by the Auditor General.
Okay.
Who says, if you find anything that you do not agree, you've got 14 days. The law is very clear.
Before it goes to the Senate.
Before now, the Auditor General renders his opinion. So in this case, I will defend the Auditor General. I think we in Parliament have failed because the Auditor General has been out saying that we need someone to oversee him. We need an external auditor.
Like Senator Kihika says, it wasn't just Kiambu. I think Kitui County,
now,
Kirinyaga County, and one more.
And let me tell you who to blame there. The person to blame there, and I stated it very clearly from the onset, is Treasury. Because if Treasury, through the IFMIS department, is sending out a template which already has figures in them.
In it.
Okay? Yeah. And then these people in the county government are too lazy to be able to do their job, you know. Because you see, you talked about the vote head.
Yes.
Budgets in county governments are on project-based. So if IFMIS comes out and say, use these vote heads. So if you get a template that has a vote head that already has a figure of State House, of all these things, you're being lazy. Because during the audit process, You know, you cannot say Waitito is not wrong here. He's wrong because his team is lazy. He is lazy. He does not pay, due diligence in understanding the whole process.
But there's a big difference between being lazy, that his team did not catch that,
stealing,
and saying that he stole 2 billion shillings. That's a whole big wide gap. But what I'm saying, then if the Treasury is who is at fault, we need to have them issue a statement and say that they're the ones who have created this mess.
Could IFMIS be wrong? Could IFMIS be messed up?
Let me just be honest with you. We need 2 types of IFMIS, okay?
Yeah.
Because the law is very clear. The Public Finance Management Act is very clear. All transaction must go through IFMIS.
Correct.
Okay?
Yes.
But you'll see that in all those counties that we've gone through and analyzed their reports, transactions are being held outside IFMIS. The Auditor General comes out and says, you give me your financial statements. Based on your financial statement, I shall render an opinion. And what Kenyans need to understand is that an opinion by the Auditor General does not mean that you are very clean, even if it's an unqualified opinion. Look at Makueni as an example. There are serious issues of impress that were the other matters. So for us in our committee, we take more keen on other matters. So when these documents come to us, Jeff, when they come to us, we are looking at the financial statements which were presented by the county government to the auditor.
Correct.
So you cannot, in my view, you cannot blame the auditor here. Because we are all part of the accountability cycle. Parliament, the ministries, together with the county government, the auditor himself, the external auditor, who the auditor has been saying for the last 2 years, please appoint an auditor, and then he comes back to us in Parliament to oversight. We are responsible for Wanjiko. Wanjiko gives us money through Treasury. When she gives us money or he gives us money through Treasury, it is our responsibility to ensure a fiduciary responsibility. But we are failing there by doing that.
Senator, do we owe Waitito an apology?
I think at the end of the day, I know we do have...
Senator Ledama,
I think Senator Ledama does not agree. But at the same time, I believe, because what Ledama is saying is that there was laziness on Waitito's side. And I can agree with that on his team.
Yes.
But there is a huge difference between just being lazy versus stealing over 2 billion shillings for functions that your county that's not under your mandate.
Right.
So I think at the end of the day, if we are able within the 45 days, I believe that's what the Senate 45 days.
6 weeks.
So if within the 45 days, which will be here pretty soon, if that was not the case, if Waitito did not get 800 million for free primary education or whatever, we owe him an apology, because we cannot also be jumping out there, lynching somebody, putting... Now, in addition to just Waitito, you saw what the letter that was issued by Governor Anne Waiguru.
Yes.
You also saw what the... Kitui as well, COG as well, have come out and taken a position. Right. So as leaders, we must also make sure that the citizenry has faith in us, in what we are doing, in the process and everything.
Okay.
I don't believe that we owe Waitito an apology.
No, I'm not saying we do. I'm saying if at the end of the day, in 45 days, if he had not gotten any, if we did not have expenses of retired presidents, peace in South Sudan,
peacekeeping,
all that, and state house functions, then absolutely he would owe him an apology.
Let me qualify why we don't owe him an apology.
Good.
Because it behooves him, to look at what he's presenting to the auditors. The auditor has simply rendered an opinion based on the evidence. It is like when you go to court, and my dear sister is a lawyer. When you go to court, your case will be determined based on the evidence you produce.
And the evidence is there.
You see, and the evidence shows he didn't steal 2 billion.
No, wait, let me finish. At the accountability cycle, we have institutions which are tasked by the Constitution to be able to carry out, to find out the legality of every expenditure. We have the DCI, we have the ESCC. It is now upon them to carry out what the Auditor General has presented as money which has been budgeted. And then from there, he can come back and say, you know what? We blame IFMIS. And the person who made that error, may it be IFMIS, and I would dare say the accounting staffs. Because if you look at even the accounting, even if you look at the Auditor General report, if you look at the Control of Budget report, the first in the executive summary, he and she states clearly that the fiduciary responsibility falls within this accounting staff.
Okay, let me ask you this. So over the weekend, Deputy President William Ruto came out and defended Waitito. Says, don't worry, hii mambo watulize. Meaning, you know, all those...
and I'll tell you.
Yeah.
I want to jump into
And you are Team Tanga Tanga, so I'm sure you're going to defend
First of all,
him.
there is no such thing as Team Tanga Tanga, but we'll get to that. Now, first of all, you're also misquoting what the deputy president
what did you
said.
say? What did you
He
say?
did not defend Waitito.
He said...
What? No, wait, Jeff. What he said was, we will hold him accountable for the mandate that he's responsible for. That
county.
is county.
Yeah.
But if we are talking about money for national functions, which his county, he did not... There's no way he can spend money for national functions when you can only... The control of budget can only...
State House events...
So if they're... Exactly. Yeah. So that you cannot ask Waitito, because there's no way he
But
could
he defended him.
No, he didn't defend him. He just said, let us hold him accountable for what is within his mandate.
You know what? Let me tell you where the bigger problem is.
Go on.
And my sister will agree with
Yes.
me. Jubilee makes up the majority in both houses.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
It's true. Proudly.
And you're not Jubilee, by the way.
No,
Correct.
I'm ODM, Dabu.
Yeah.
Listen,
Yes.
Jubilee makes up the majority.
Yes.
And my sister will agree with me that even during the Ruaraka land report, they failed. Because you know what? Right now, we're in a situation where these guys are told, vote this way. Don't question it. Vote this way. Okay? Yeah. Look at even the way the money which was allocated to NYS as an example. Okay? If we are following the law, it should have only been 10% more. So these guys, even the budget the way we have, and I dare say this, that even the current stalemate we have in the Senate and the National Assembly, in terms of the division of revenue bill, these guys will they'll bail on us because
they vote as a block.
They vote as a block. Let me just finalize. Okay. They will go there and they'll be told, this budget has got to go through the way it is. They will not scrutinize it.
Oh my.
They will not scrutinize it.
Oh my.
And I say this because Senator Kihika is a very, very eloquent and intelligent senator.
Yes.
And sometimes I agree. Even this issue of Ruaraka,
yes,
she may not really like what she did, but I like her the fact that she stood there and voted no. Others ran away.
They just didn't show up.
Others ran away.
But
Actually, they did.
You didn't answer this question about the deputy president.
Oh, yeah,
the deputy president made a very I don't want to use that word.
Okay, big blunder.
A big blunder. But I was going to say, I was going to try to figure out. Because you see, let me tell you, before you speak about something, have the facts. If he says watulize, then of course we are going to ask them, why on earth do you forward IFMI's information there for that money to be spent? Why can't you scrutinize what is being sent?
But can I ask a question?
Yeah,
can I ask my colleague here a question?
Absolutely.
Do you actually believe that Governor Waitito got money to spend for State House functions?
No.
Yes or no?
No.
Okay.
Do
you believe for peace in South Sudan?
I said it very clearly.
Wait, just answer me first. For free primary education.
I said it very clearly. The problem is with him and his staff not exercising due diligence.
But you can't have it both ways. On one hand, you're saying...
Yes, you can.
Wait.
Yeah.
First of all, we are agreeing. Waitito has not stolen, as was put out last week, 2 billion shillings for national functions. And what the deputy president said, he did not defend Waitito. Yeah. What he said is, let him be held responsible for functions that are under his mandate.
Right.
Roles that are under the national government, how would you hold him responsible? Well, he cannot.
Let me tell
control
you,
of budget would never give him money for
I would hold him
that.
responsible because of one thing. A fiduciary responsibility, due diligence, before he submitted. And let me tell you, the Public Audit Act is very clear. It is very clear. Even the president of this republic is not called a CEO. But a governor is called a CEO. The CEO has got to sign. Why on earth was he signing documents, giving it to the auditor without scrutinizing them?
Okay, wait. Let's wait for the 45 days.
Okay, good.
Because I truly believe that we are mudslinging. You've heard that from the other governors, from Kirinyaga, from everywhere.
Yeah.
Now they are They say this cannot be true.
Team Tanga Tanga will defend themselves all the way.
No, I don't think. I don't
Okay,
think.
here's the deal. So let's switch from Waitito now.
All right.
Okay.
The counties are demanding more money, right? From the Treasury and National Assembly, who's allocated 310 billion. The Senate wants to allocate what? 335 billion.
Yes.
Can I go first since he started talking about that? He said that we'll
No, but
disown
you
them.
didn't.
No, hold up. Hold
Yes.
up.
No,
Oh,
not on, no.
335.
Can you finish your
And
question?
counties misusing what they have already is the question that people are asking. You guys want to throw more monies.
No, what we're saying, Jeff, and that's why I wanted
Jeff,
to correct what
are you
my
sure?
Senator Ledama here said, that
Yes.
we just have
Not
voting
on that
machine.
one. Not on that one.
No, you talk
Not
about
on that particular one.
On
Okay.
this particular one,
Not
I
on that
wanted
one.
him to be clear.
Not on this
national
one.
TV.
No,
here,
this one.
we voted together.
This one we voted together. We died together.
We
died
voted
together.
together
billion.
for 335 billion and said there is no way that the government, the economy
Yes.
is growing, we are collecting more, and you want to reduce the amount that's going to the counties. Because now, bringing it down to 310 is even
It's
less than last
ridiculous.
time. So we all agreed. This one is
No, this one we
partyless
voted together.
for
From
the counties.
310 to
Let me-
335.
You know what,
Absolutely.
Jeff? You
Billion.
said
Yes.
the question was
Yes.
governors, senators want to send 335.
Yes.
Do you know in the rank of corruption who is leading in corruption? It is the presidency,
Oh, Lord.
my friend.
What?
Yes.
What
The
do you mean?
Ministry of Interior is number one in corruption.
What do you mean?
What do you mean? What do you mean? These are facts, Jeff.
Let's call it
this
the
is-
Ministry
this
of
is-
Interior. That's
this
not
is-
presidency.
Let me tell you, but it's under the presidency.
Yeah, it is.
It's under the presidency. Call a spade a spade. Let me tell you, pick up the phone right now, call the ESCC director. Call even, what's his name, the chairperson. He will tell you in the rank, number one is the Ministry of Interior in corruption.
But can I say something to that?
About 2 weeks ago, we had a stakeholders meeting with ESCC, DCI, DPP. Okay? With my committee of PAC. And this is when we said that even in our sitting of PAC, we are going to have somebody from DCI, we are going to have somebody from DPP, okay? And we're also going to have somebody from Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. And when the deputy chair of ESCC was submitting to us the list of the highly corrupt people, the number one was the presidency, Ministry of Interior.
For what?
Okay? But for what? Let me put it this way. Governor Sonko and a few other governors came up with this thing called confidential account. And when they are asked, what is all this nonsense about this confidential account? Some of the explanation they gave is that, security. The Constitution is very clear. The only entity that is supposed to have a confidential account is the national government under the Ministry of Interior. Some money where you don't have to really account for it.
Right.
But that, in my view, is being abused. When you look at the Ministry of Interior, it is not only Matiang'i. It falls all the way down to the police. Okay? It goes down NIS.
Yes.
It goes down all the way.
Right.
So when ESCC came up and said, it is the most corrupt, there's no way you can equate that with the corruption in county governments. That's number one. Number two, the fact that county governments are corrupt. If we sit down, if we keep on talking and saying they are corrupt and we are not taking action, we are not implementing the law.
Yeah.
There is a PFM Act which is very clear. The Public Audit Act, which was passed in 2015, it has never been effected. If you look at Article 62 of the Public Audit Act, it is very clear that when county government submit wrong information or withhold information from the auditor, if they are found culpable, you go for 5 years in jail. 3 years in jail.
Let me
Jump in,
back up a little bit
Yeah.
on the Ruaraka report, because I know
back
the
to
senator
Ruaraka.
mentioned. Just briefly. One, I agree. We voted against it. And for some of us who did that, it may have been to do with some of how the report was written. Yes. I know there were some people that the report had said something to the effect or hold them responsible or whatever, and we felt that truly due process had not been followed. So since I advocate for due process, I cannot do it selectively. However, I still challenge the other investigating agencies, be they, first of all, ESCC, to continue with that investigation where the Senate left off and continue. And I know we've had previously, twice they have forwarded the files to DPP. And twice DPP has kicked them back. So we need to kind of know what's going on. Now, on one part, when you talk about the Ministry of Interior being very corrupt, I'm not quite surprised because we've been reading about it in the papers. We saw that police choppers are being fueled for 112 million per month.
It's ridiculous.
I mean, and that is why sometimes I have a problem with the DCI. Some of us insist that maybe the EACC is the better person to investigate than DCI. And this is back to your point. The DCI is not independent. The accounting officer for DPI is that in the same ministry, Kibicho, right? Those Matiangi. So, do you really expect DCI to go investigate their bosses? Do you expect these police officers to investigate other police officers? They don't have, so whoever has the purse is whose tune you're going to sing. So half the time we are going to have a problem. That is why I insist EACC is probably the better. It is a commission, a constitutional commission. It does not have to go seeking for handouts like DCI.
Right.
So maybe they would do a more objective job. So that's on Ruaraka and that. We've also heard about, we read that in the papers, a 10-kilometer chain link fence for 3 billion.
Yeah,
so they need to be investigated more. So when we talk about fighting
I don't
corruption.
even need that for Mao Forest.
Exactly.
I only need 400 million.
That's right.
And I'm doing it.
So when we fight
it.
corruption, let us do it holistically. Let us not be
So you're saying
selective.
it's being selective?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
That sounds like Team Tanga Tanga to me.
Come on, Jeff. What is this Team Tanga Tanga? There is one Jubilee party.
No, there isn't.
We do not.
No, there isn't. There are two centers of power now.
Where? And in this country, we are under the President Uhuru Kenyatta, and he's assisted by his principal assistant.
Really?
Yes.
When he
William
says
Ruto.
no campaigning, why are you people campaigning?
Nobody is campaigning, Jeff. Have you taken a position on this, Jeff?
You have.
No, we have not. You know who talks about Tanga Tanga and campaigning?
Who?
The few Kitoweleweke people who are sympathizers
now
of
there's
ODM.
Kieleweke.
But you know who they are? They are just few people that I can't even count
six
on
of
my
them,
five.
there's six,
No,
there's
there's
six.
that short guy. There is the guy who is nominated who has no who has no dockets.
Okay.
You know.
Two.
Who else do you know? They are barely. They are just ODM sympathizers, and they are the political wing of what Murathe talked about. The Stop Ruto movement. That's all. But they're only 5 or less.
Let me, Jeff.
This woman is tough.
No, let me put it
This
this
woman is tough.
Let me put it this way. I think, let us just admit that we have failed Kenyans.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yes.
We
Yes.
have failed Kenyans,
Yes,
and it is about time that we start thinking seriously about how we are going to change this country. Because the level of corruption in county governments...
it's run away.
Yeah, I agree. On that we
national
agree.
governments, you know. And also on this issue of corruption, I do believe that the DCI is doing a fantastic job.
Okay.
You know, and I think we should give him more powers.
Yeah.
We should allow him to be, because in a country managed by the rule of law or ruled by the rule of law, these bodies should be independent. You know, even when we were talking about the new AG, one of the key elements or other characteristics that we were all arguing that a new AG should have is that it should be able to think independently, regardless of who is the appointing authority. Because once you get there, you're not there to be able to please your master. Look at what is happening in county governments. Governors are controlling the CECs, okay?
Yeah.
The CECs cannot be able to move any expenditure without the governor knowing. You know, there are some counties, my friend, where the governor even have to see the check so that it can be signed.
But you know, the governor's afraid of being impeached. You know that's the other thing.
No.
But the other day...
The buck stops with him.
Correct. But the other day, Senator Olekina, you tweeted...
Absolutely.
...that there's going to be... I don't know if you said a dozen
70.
or there's going to be a whole bunch of...
70%.
I'll put it this way. I said 80%.
Oh, 80, sorry.
Of the current governors
are going...
and the former governors will end up in jail.
That's what you said.
Wow. Article 226, subsection 5 of the Kenyan Constitution is very clear. Look at what is happening to Kidero. The poor guy is back and forth, the court.
Every day.
Let me tell you, from what we have read, you know, these are some of our documents. We have looked at the financial statements. We have looked at the Auditor General report. You know, there's no way that a governor, let's say from Lamu, a governor from Nairobi, a governor from Wajir, a governor from, you know, any of the 47 counties, is going to say he is going to be able to go and sleep well after he's out of office, knowing all the shenanigans and the stupid things they are doing.
So you're saying at least 35
right now,
out of 47 will end up in jail?
Let me tell you something. When you look at the this year's Auditor General report, 30 counties were given a qualified opinion. Okay? 2 counties were given an unqualified opinion. 15 counties got a disclaimer and adverse. So the first thing you ask yourself, Jeff, is that what does it mean to get a disclaimer?
Unqualified
A disclaimer is very simple. There was a limitation of scope. When the auditor came in and said, we want to audit how you paid out, like, for instance, I'll give you a good example. Let's say Embu County as an example.
Okay.
We want to know how you are able to spend 6.2 billion shillings, you know, yet in IFMIS, it is only 3 billion which is indicated. And then you do not provide the documentation. So the auditor is limited. He can only come out and say, your financial statement do not reflect the position or the health of your county. Now, when the qualified opinion, they say, okay, give us a documentation to show us how you spend your money, you provide everything. But then the auditor comes and says, let us look at other matters. Let us go into petty things like impress.
Okay.
If you look at a county like, for instance, Makueni, as an example, it doesn't make sense as to why one person should be paid 8.8 million shillings in impress, and at the end of the financial year, they do not declare that interest.
But
surrender that
Makueni is supposed to be the top county, my friend.
So that's what I'm saying.
So we're in trouble.
Being given a qualified and unqualified, you know, those two, qualified and unqualified, does not mean that you are doing everything good. It only means the way you prepared your documents, the transactions in IFMIS were carried out properly, the Public Procurement and Disposable Act was followed, the PFM Act was followed, but then what we are looking at now is we are going at other matters which have clearly been listed out there by the Auditor General.
Is that like actually, supporting documents?
Those are
receipts?
Yes.
What we would call
receipts?
Yeah.
But no, let me ask you a question. You come out and say there was about 380 million shillings that was paid out to suppliers in Nairobi County.
Okay.
Or Nakuru County.
Okay.
Yet they ask you, give us an LSO, give us an LPO, give us an invoice. You know,
and there's none of that.
There's none of that. So of course you get a disclaimer. With the qualified and unqualified, it does not mean that everything is good. It just means that the auditor did his job. He rendered an opinion. He said, I can render a qualified opinion to clearly state that your financial statements reflect fairly, apart from other areas that he would have noted, you know, how you've been able to spend your money.
And from that...
And what I was going to say, actually, the one thing that I would say about the current committee of CPIF in the Senate, they are really doing a good job. And that is why we are having these discussions in this manner. And maybe, over time, this will make the governors start doing their jobs right, because they know that this stuff is not just going to slip through the cracks. Because before, what was happening, when we first got into the Senate, we were looking at reports from 2013, 2014. So when it's 2018 and I'm looking at 2013, that guy is long gone.
He's long gone.
You know what I'm saying? The money's been spent. He's done it probably 2013, 2014, 2015. But if this is happening real time, like they're doing right now, almost, because right now you're looking at 2017, 2018. So they've done a very good job. And what this will do, he will supplement the cycle in making sure that we are holding them accountable. What they're doing is transparent, so that by the next year, then they won't just go do crazy things, because they know that these guys will come for them. And you know, they're doing this for 47 counties. And when they do those reports for scrutinizing them at that level for 47 counties, and it's the executive as well as the county assemblies. So it is a lot of work. But I want to show you the Senate this time is not joking.
But the question is, will these counties be held accountable, or the governors, will they be held accountable?
Jeff, yes. I said it before, and I stand by my words. Article 226, subsection 5 is very clear. You know, and some people might say, oh, why don't you look at our county? Why don't you look at our county? We have 47 counties. We've looked at the ones which have been given a disclaimer and adverse. You know, we are going through down that list. We will go to the qualified, and I can guarantee you that within a very short time, before the end of this year, we've looked at all the 47 reports. They have all been adapted. The law is very clear. It says, which before we are violating the law, it says Parliament shall consider, I think Article 229 of the Constitution says Parliament shall consider the report of the Auditor General within 3 months. We are within 3 months of tabling.
What happens after that?
After that, then it goes back into what I told you, the accountability cycle. DCI, ESCC. And now, the work is easier. The reason why the work is easier is because we have an
numbers
ESCC,
reflect,
we have an ESCC person, we have a DCI person, we have a DPP. So when they submit, when they prepare all the cases, they will go to the DPP and they will be prosecuted.
And they'll have the numbers.
So my warning to the governors, it doesn't matter who you are. You know,
present or past?
Present and past.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter who you are. Once you're given you are the fiduciary.
We'll come for you.
They'll come for you.
We are coming for you. And the message to them is this: spend the Wanjiko money the way Wanjiko want them.
Give them services.
Give them services.
Let them feel value for their money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm surprised when you mentioned Makueni, because everyone praises Makueni and Professor Kihika.
But numbers don't lie.
Numbers, let me tell you, there is a lady by the name of Janet Mutio. I'm looking at, these are public documents.
Yes.
Yes. At the end of the financial year, there was 8.8 million shillings in outstanding interest.
How now?
My dear sister will tell you, if we in Parliament are given interest, we must surrender interest within 7 days. Failure to which will be surcharged. Why is Makueni governor not?
A year later.
No. And then also the other big question is this 8.8 is against the PFM Act. How do you pay somebody 8.8 million in interest? That's number one. There is also, when you look at, there's also another guy called Martin Mutendo, 3.1 in interest. When you calculate all these, there was about 15 million shillings outstanding interest. That's not it. You look at other issues like scholarships. You have given out scholarships. You've not listed out the beneficiaries of those scholarships. Who are they? When you look at that, there was 769 million shillings, which it says other expenses. Other expenses, my foot. You've not listed them out and say, this is the expense, this is the expense. So let me tell you, every county in this country, the 47 of them, they are in shit.
Can we say that one?
Excuse my French. They are like, let me tell you, they have their hands in the cookie jar.
Yes.
They are misusing public money.
Yeah.
And the only way to resolve this, Jeff, is now following what is happening in Makueni. What I can say, you fight Makueni, but you give credit where it's due. The citizens of Makueni, listen to this.
Go on.
Okay?
Yeah.
Are now part and parcel of the formulation. When the budget process is formulating, approval, execution, and oversight. Formulating, bring the public together. Let them sit down. We have a good budget. It's a program-based budget. Involve them. Tell them in this ward, this is what we're going to do for you. When the citizens of this Republic of Kenya, will say, this is my money, and I want to see it going well. And they don't send me a text message at 3 a.m. in the morning telling me I need 50,000 shillings for a loan.
Correct.
Or something like that. They will get that money. Money will flow to them.
And
can I ask you this question?
Sure.
We are new at this.
Yeah.
We're less than a decade into this new constitution. So obviously people who came into this were not, and I'm not defending them, by the way.
Sure.
Maybe they weren't savvy. They weren't up to speed on dealing with billions and billions of shillings. So it's just looking at me and laughing here. But we will get better with each.
But that's what I'm saying. The beauty is, or the good thing about all this, is suddenly the different systems are getting put in place. The different agencies are also getting strengthened. When you have the Senate, for example, now being very active in oversighting, then at some point we are going to get to the level where we cannot excuse that ignorance. And it's not just ignorance. People are just stealing. But at the end of it, though, Jeff, I believe it's going to get better. And the one thing I don't like is when as senators we ask questions, whatever county it is, not just mine, whatever. Then we are told, oh, you're fighting governors. That must stop. Because like my friend here, Senator Ledama said, until Kenyans are outraged enough by the misuse of their money, because public funds are their money, then they'll continue saying, when you raise a question, that you're politicizing it.
So we're not angry enough?
No, we are not angry enough. No, absolutely, we are not. Absolutely not. If I can stand there and raise an issue that why is the county government spending this instead of offering the services that you all said during public participation, why your priorities, and then somebody says, oh, you're fighting the governor, then we are not angry enough. We are not.
Senator, you disagree this? I mean, incompetence is incompetence.
No. I don't agree that people should not be given 3.6 billion, 30 billion to be able to spend. I think what we ought to do, Jeff, Okay? We have got to divorce our own interest, our own personal interest from the interest of the general public. I've got serious issues with how we pass legislations in Parliament. You know, Senator Kihika and I sit in the Energy Committee. You know, I was furious about legislations which were passed. When we question them, we are told no, they have to go that way. So let me tell you, the only way we can be able to ensure that we have value for money is, number one, you involve the citizens. Number two, let systems work. Okay?
Yeah.
There's no reason as to why we have the Public Audit Act, which is very clear. We have the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act, which is very clear. We have the PFM Act. We have the PPDA. You know, we have all these acts which have been enacted by us, Parliament, to ensure that a fiduciary responsibility, but we do not care about implementation.
But I don't even think it's about laws. I think we have enough laws. I agree with you on that. It's implementation. We have enough laws to make sure everything is right. But we are not implementing.
I have a message here from Member of Parliament for Dagoretti South. John Kiarie?
JK.
Yes, KJ.
Yeah,
KJ.
Yeah, KJ. KJ says CDF. It's impossible to steal from CDF because it comes as a grant.
Do you know why?
No.
Do you know why?
No, tell me.
And I'll tell you this. CDF, just like it's a conditional grant. The MP,
KJ, yes.
KJ goes to his constituency and he says, gentlemen, I've been given 70 million or I'll be allocated 100 million.
Yes.
How do you want us to divide this money?
He's asking his
He's asking his citizens. So members of Parliament go out there and they ask, and then the citizens come and say, we want a clinic.
Yeah.
Then KJ writes a proposal to the CDF board. When he writes a proposal to the CDF board, he says the people of Dagoretti South want a clinic. That money will leave Treasury going to Dagoretti South as a clinic. Let me tell you, and I'm glad that KJ asked that question. If the money we are appropriating and sending to the county governments could go as conditional grants, and we follow by checking everything, I can tell you, we will be able to make it very difficult for these people to steal that money.
Senator, let me ask you a
again,
question.
sorry.
So KJ gets a grant to build a clinic.
Yes.
The person building the clinic, the builder, the constructor, is KJ's brother.
How is that? How?
That's not legal.
No, we don't.
That's unlawful.
No, I mean, hypothetically.
Hypothetically.
Because you know, there are Kenyans watching out there.
Just in case
and I don't want us
they
to,
do it, them or took away of lynching.
We don't want us to lynch KJ.
No, we don't.
Hypothetically.
Hypothetically, correct.
All right.
I stand corrected.
Yes.
Hypothetically, it's KJ's brother-in-law or his cousin or someone close to him, right? So they inflate the budget, and they present this budget.
How?
To who?
To who?
To
How? How do you inflate the budget? Let me ask you on CDF.
So let's say
there is a set amount
for the clinic.
For that
clinic.
50 million.
There are BQs.
There has to be BQs
There
to
are
show what that
BQs,
50
which are
million will
clear.
go towards.
BQs.
But
Bill of quantities.
But, okay, but back to the public participation, which is what you're talking about.
Yes.
I think counties would do better if they really listened to their people and what the needs of those people are. Because the people come out. You know, the law requires, you know, it's in the Constitution, it's the law, that you must carry out public participation.
So it's us
that,
who are stupid.
No. First, we have failed them as government, county governments, for example. I'm just talking here about county governments. Because the citizenry feel, I came out last year and I told you that what we wanted was a road.
Yes.
What we wanted most was
you build
a
this
hospital.
road?
But then you're coming to call me out again, to come out to do public participation, and you didn't even do what you were supposed to do last year. So it sort of kills their morale. And then at the end of the day, to me, I would imagine if you are a governor, it would make so, and I hear Makwendi seems good at doing that. Have public participation at the village level. Let them say what they want. Then it's easier to implement what it is that they want.
But then we come back and vote for you as governor, or you, even though you didn't build that road you promised the last time.
Let me put it this way.
I said we'll have a conversation on the Kenyan voter.
Let me put it this way. What we should be talking about are solutions. You know, because we can rant when things have gone wrong, and we don't have solutions.
Sure.
As a legislator, I have taken my job very seriously. I have come up with serious legislations. There is one which is called County Oversight and Accountability Bill, which is now in the second reading. It's going to the third reading.
Okay.
I want my sister here to support me, because what I'm saying involve the citizens in the budget making process. Okay? Once you involve them, then even the MCAs will no longer be interested in that ward development fund.
Right.
Because when the budget is being formulated, they will say, Narok County, which has 6 constituencies and 30 wards, we will go to each of the 30 wards and say, with the budget, we want to give Ward A 100 million. Okay? What are the priorities here? Involve the citizen in the appropriation process. Then once it's appropriated, let that budget go out, let it be passed by the assembly, and please let us build the capacity of the assemblies so that they can be able to read and understand that budget. Even, I dare say, and I stand corrected on this, even in parliament, there are a lot of people who don't even read the budget.
Sure.
They just say, petition. And then after some time, they come and say, aya, kwani kulikuwa na fuel levy? Haya, kwani kulikuwa na 1.5% ya nini? Yeah, housing. Yes. And you are given the time to read, but you did not read. Right. So once we involve the citizens, we pass these laws. But the moment that law went to the Council of Governors, they fought it.
Of course.
They said senators want to control us.
Correct.
And that was my point. Everything that we do is brought back in that lens of politics. However, we must continue to do our job.
We have to.
We must do our job without fear or favor. And the job must be done.
It has to be
done. And people must be held accountable. The county governments must be more transparent. And it must be that way.
In your opinion, are governors just corrupt?
I think...
or incompetent?
I think...
or both?
I think both. But let me put it this way. I think what it is that we, the citizens, are the ones who are making them corrupt. We are always asking them for favors, money. We're making them corrupt. That's number one. Number two, I think the problem that we have is that when we have a group of council of governors who want to give themselves powers as presidents, some of them were even coming out and saying they should not be prosecuted while in office because the president is not prosecuted.
Correct. Immunity. Yes.
That is completely, what can you call it? That is...
Yes.
Yeah, of course. Okay, you said it, I didn't say it. But I think it's really not understanding what is your duty. And I think the problem we have as Kenyans is that we will continue electing those ones because Ledama or Kina or Susan Kihika will not give you a bribe, will not give you money to vote for them. But then you'll go to the one who will give you money and you vote. And then the moment he gets there, of course, he starts taking all that money to repay back.
He has to make up.
But I think it's the chicken and the egg. We can't also blame the Wananchi for asking us for money when a lot of the services are not being provided. Does that make sense? In the sense that
it does.
We have a lot of people with sick people, for example, in the hospital, or somebody has died and they have a bill, they can't take them out.
Funeral bill.
We are not there yet as far as providing universal health care. So thank God it's one of the big 4 agenda. And hopefully, in time, that becomes, if we could figure that out, then you won't have people asking you to help them get their sick person out. Second, if the money was better spent instead of all the corruption, and you are able to cover bursary for most of the children, then they won't be calling us for school fees. So we can't also blame them for asking us for money when all the money for their services is being misspent. However, they need to get angry and make sure that they sweep out those who do not provide the services.
Okay, your Jubilee, your NASA.
ODM.
NASA got swallowed. There's no NASA. What are you talking about? They swallowed NASA.
There's no NASA?
Well, I'm ODM.
Okay, all right, fine.
I could be NASA, but I'm ODM.
All right, good.
NASA got
That's the party that got me to power.
Was ODM.
ODM.
Not
yes.
NASA got NASWAD.
Handshake.
Yeah?
Your thoughts?
I think I support the handshake 100%. But I think that we in the ODM are actually getting a raw deal.
How so?
Wow.
I'll put it this way. I'll be very open. We see a lot of appointments being given out there. We see people who fought out to be able to make sure that we have, this handshake and be able to put our position very strong, and we're left out. We are disgruntled, and we call a spade a spade. But the one thing that I support the handshake for is bringing stability in this economy and making sure that we grow as an economy. What I don't agree with is on the way certain things are being done. Okay? I want to see more Maasais in government. I want to see the Mao forest taken care of, because my party leader was not voted for by a big chunk of Rift Valley residents because he defended the party. I wanted him to be able to go there and tell Uhuru, let us conserve this environment. That is one of the things that I really wanted. So I think it is good for the economy, but I think it is good for stability, but we still want to see real results.
You feel shortchanged?
I feel shortchanged. Completely.
I'm actually surprised, let's begin there, that ODM is disgruntled. I think if anybody...
Ledama Olekina is disgruntled.
Thank you.
Because I want to see more Maasais getting better things than they are getting.
I look forward for the day that we shall not come here and talk about our different tribes. And I'm not saying that necessarily that's wrong.
Sure.
But I'm just saying I wish and I hope that day gets here when we can look holistically at what Kenyans are getting versus the Kikuyu, the Maasai, the Kamba, and that sort of stuff. Yeah. Now, as far as the handshake, if it has brought peace, then it's a good thing. However, it also seems to have brought a lot of division, and that's just the reality. All you have to do, even if you are blind, you could feel it. Yeah, you could see it. Yeah. It seems like we are almost also destroying other bridges while trying to build others. So I wish, what I would want to see is for the handshake to work, it must be all-inclusive. What we've seen the legislators, for example, from ODM, and I'm not talking about you here, I'm talking about in general, I haven't seen you doing that, is what we've seen is them selling the politics of hatred and division. And it seems that their sole purpose is to fight William Ruto. So that I have a problem with, in the sense that for the handshake to work, it must be all-inclusive. We had a handshake back, it was done in Nakuru County back in 2013, and that brought stability to this country. So we hope to continue building on that, and hopefully we'll get there.
But the same William Ruto doesn't quite agree with the handshake.
Why doesn't he agree with the handshake? Why doesn't he support it, Jeff?
Because someone has come in the room and kind of, rattled things. It's
not just rattled. Somebody has come into the room and now wants to come into your house and go to the bedroom. He's come into your house and now wants to say what's going on. You know? Yes. So obviously you would not be happy. So this has continued to cause divisions, propaganda, hatred. So that is what we have an issue with this specific person who's coming to the room.
Let me tell you something.
Go on.
You know, it will be remiss of me not to, if I don't say this. Kenyans must always thank Raila Amolo Odinga. This is a person who has fought for freedom of speech in this country. He's fought for the position where, if it was not for Raila Odinga, most of us would not be here. I can tell you that. I don't see Raila Odinga having joined in with the handshake to try and dismantle Jubilee. You know, I think
like some people are saying. Like some people
his foot soldiers have said.
Let me finalize. No. Let me finalize.
That's the purpose.
Let me just quantify my. I don't think it would be fair for us to criticize what Raila has done, because what Raila has done for this economy is something that has even been recognized worldwide. And I think we must give credit where credit is due. Because the other day I laughed when I saw at the Boniface Mwangi, my friend, was arrested because of organizing a revolution. Give me a you know what? Let me just stop at that. How do you plan a revolution? You don't. People get pissed off.
Sure.
You know? Sure. The day Kenyans will be pissed off enough is the day we'll have a revolution here. We were just about to have that revolution. But Raila saw that this country was going into the dogs and decided, said, gentlemen, hold your horses. Hold your horses. And we did. So I really would be happy for the time when not only we as the 43 ethnic groups of people who live in this country can be seen as one and we'll be able to move forward, but also I'll be happy for the day when my sister, my brothers from William Ruto's side will be able to see that what Raila brought in was not to divide but to unite. And even if you see it as a negative thing, take that negative and make something positive out of it.
Good.
We are trying to make lemonade out of those lemons. Jubilee is stable though. I mean, despite they're trying to aggravate and bring division.
But someone is in your bedroom.
Somebody's in the bedroom, and they must be dealt with. But, however, I mean, being grateful is also subjective.
Okay,
at the end of the day, though, we are good. Jubilee's purpose is to make sure that we have a party that is not ethnic, that is able to carry the agenda for the country, and that has representation in every corner of this country, and we are good.
If the election was held tomorrow, William Ruto, Raila Odinga, who would win?
Can you go first? You know the answer is obvious.
Why don't you put it this way?
Why
don't you put it this way? And I know it's for argument's sake.
Yes.
Okay?
And it's hypothetical.
Why don't we have these two gentlemen, first of all, declare their interest? Because let me tell you.
We know Ruto's
running.
Ruto said, I mean.
You know, let me tell you. I don't know if Raila is going to be running.
We don't know.
Nobody knows.
No.
Even Ruto himself has said that Jubilee will have a candidate.
Yes.
He did not say it is going to be him.
But,
no, wait.
No.
I
think what we need to do.
As a whip of the party, that's important that I clarify.
She is the party whip. She's the party whip.
Right.
Yes.
The reason we say that Jubilee will have a candidate, we also, as much as we know we have an agreement for him, when the time comes and somebody like you, Jeff, decides you want to run for president, you will both go in for a nomination contest. Right. So we are also a very democratic party. And that's why he says somebody
Let me ask you this question. What if someone new comes up and not the two people you've just mentioned?
From a different party or from within?
Another Kenyan just comes up and says,
let them come. There's
you know
no
what,
problem.
Kenya, I'm ready for you.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
I'm just asking.
Fine,
why don't you broaden your question?
Because right now, we know these two are a possibility.
But do you see the confusion in their camp?
It is not the confusion.
Every day they wake up and fight Ruto, but yet they don't know even who their candidate is. So I find that very strange. And that's why hawaeleweki.
Let me put it this way, Jeff. You know what? I want to see, which I don't believe it's ever going to happen.
Go on.
Okay? But I just want to be, let me not become so doubting Thomas or whatever, but let me just put it this way. I want to see Jubilee fulfilling his Big Four agenda. I don't believe they will. I do not believe they will.
That's a good point, by the way. I was going to come up to that. Is the Big Four agenda going to happen?
No, it's not going to happen. It is not going to happen.
It is.
Let me tell you.
It's 2 years and change.
We'll do what needs to be done within those 2 years. And you know what, Jeff? We also understand as Jubilee, we really understand that for us to get that re-election again in 2022, it will depend on what we deliver right now. So we are working hard to make sure that we deliver on that.
Senator, look, what is the Big Four? Tell me, what is the Big Four?
Housing.
Healthcare.
Healthcare,
housing,
manufacturing,
and food security.
And food security. Now, let me tell you, before you even ask, if Jubilee is to achieve any of this, if they have any hopes of achieving any of this, Jubilee ought to focus on only one sector, which is manufacturing. Okay?
Go on.
If they focus on manufacturing, I can tell you, Kenyans will be grateful because this housing business is just nonsense. It will not happen. This issue of healthcare, it will not happen. Counties, we have counties where people who are, even governors go out there and they say, come, we'll sell our goats and cows and everything to give you NHIF cards, and they are not given.
Right.
They are not given any. Even the citizens are not given. So the only way that we can be able to help this economy, and this has happened historically in the United Kingdom, in China, it is by lifting our manufacturing sector. Okay? Look at all theories, economic theories. Right now, Narok County, we manufacture sugar, corn, wheat. Why don't we build industries in those counties to ensure that the money circulates there, goes round and round?
Yet we are letting China in.
We are letting China invade our economy and literally control it.
So you say, forget the Big Four.
Forget the Big Four.
Let's do the big one.
Just focus on manufacturing. Because with manufacturing, food security will automatically get there.
Jobs.
Okay? Jobs will be created. Then once the jobs are created, leave the private sector to deal with the issue of housing. Okay?
Well,
Senator.
yes. Like I said, our purpose is to make sure that Jubilee's agenda becomes successful. And the Big Four is a big part of Jubilee's agenda. Okay. As much as I agree with my brother that we must get it right in manufacturing, and I truly believe that. However, I think they are all sort of interconnected. We need, like I talked a bit earlier about healthcare, we need healthcare that works, because no matter how much we do in manufacturing, and we have people who are not healthy. It's not going to help. And we all know, I don't know, maybe not in your families, but I know in my county, in our families, we are all every day having these issues of people cannot get treatment, or it's too expensive, or it's just not affordable, it's not accessible, you know. So it's a problem. So I don't think we can also, as much as we want to focus on maybe one to make it more successful, there are some that we must also carry along. Food security. Like right now, we've had issues with the rains.
Right now.
Like as we speak. So I don't know what's going to happen in the next few months, because, you know, most of the country, a big percentage is small-scale farmers. And if there is no food, then we are going to be staring at a disaster. So we can't also just put our hands in the sand and forget about that as we just carry forward one. So all must work together.
Okay, and I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth, right? But what if we forget the big four and concentrate on the one thing that will give our president a legacy people will remember for years? And that is the fight against the big C.
Cancer?
No, it's not cancer. Well, corruption is a cancer. Corruption is a cancer.
Right.
What do you think?
That's not going to happen.
No?
That is not going to happen. It won't happen. You know, my sister earlier said, this fight against corruption is selective. You know, I somehow agree with her. I partly agree with her. It is selective. Because if you realize that all the three arms of governments are corrupt, okay, how are you going to win that war?
Okay, what's going to be the president's legacy? Okay. Before we go to tweet, what will be his legacy?
Nothing.
Oh, gosh.
Huh?
Nothing.
Come on, say
literally
more.
nothing. If there is anything, if you want me to be kind,
yes,
the handshake. If you want me to be kind, the handshake.
10 years from now, 20
put it
from
this
now.
way. If the president wants to have a legacy, he must understand one thing, that there are two arms of government. There is, no, actually two levels of government. There is a national government and the county government. If he wants to be able to achieve anything in one of his four big agenda, the housing, the first thing he needs to do, call governors. You may not call all of them because it end up being just formal discussion. Call one and say, Governor Tunai, Narok County, how many plumbers do you have? How many masons do you have? How many carpenters do you have? Okay? If you don't have, there's an institution there. Do a skills audit. Build that. Because then you will see housing development coming up, and you can be able to do that. Go step by step. But when you say you were having a talk on corruption, the other time they had it in where? Where was it?
State House.
No, was it not KICC? Okay, let's start even with KICC. What did the president say? I have given you guys money, the independent institution. I've asked you to go ahead and do that work. Okay, give him credit. Of course he has done that. You know, and we'll give him credit for that. But go to, it was Bomas of Kenya. The same people who are being investigated on corruption were talking to each other. They're all talking to each other. All this nonsense about fighting corruption is just going to be nothing but talk.
Let me talk a bit on the corruption first.
Legacy.
On legacy, before I get there. Real quick on the corruption.
Okay.
I believe Kenyans want to see a successful fight on corruption. However, like I said before, my sentiments still are, we must take the politics out of fighting against corruption, the fight against corruption. And we must do it factually, being truthful, and not also being selective. We've seen a lot of that, and we don't have enough time, Jeff, but I could list a whole lot of scenarios where we've seen a lot of that. Okay. So I know the president is very committed on the fight against corruption. But however, the investigative agencies must also do their jobs and do it independently and do it truthfully.
Okay, what will be his legacy?
His legacy will be when we achieve some of the big four within the next few years. And some will be achieved. For example, we saw him launch the pilot program on the universal healthcare in 4 counties. So I'm passionate a lot about healthcare because I've seen it become, it's a big problem. It's a big, huge problem. So if we can do that and replicate that in the 47 counties where we have universal healthcare, then he will have achieved a great legacy.
Tweets, folks, tweets. But this tanga thing of yours, I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
I don't even like the word tanga.
I'm not on either side, but she's quick to point out the Kieleweke people, right?
Before you get in the tweet, there's something that my colleague has said.
Go on.
And it will not be fair if we leave it this way.
Go on.
What is this?
I think the DCI is doing a fantastic job.
The
DCI is doing a fantastic
job. But
job.
she says he's being selective.
The DPP... Yeah. No. But you see, let me ask you this question, Jeff. If someone now comes up and say to me, Senator Ledamo Olekina, you are there looking at other counties, you've not looked at Narok. We have 47 counties. It will be selfish for me to push my colleague and say, let us start with Narok right now.
On
Okay?
Nakuru.
But
You know,
to be
on
fair,
Nakuru.
that's not what I was
You know,
saying. What
so-
I was saying
so-
is they are not independent enough like the EACC.
In my view,
the DCI.
in my view, both agencies,
Yeah.
EACC,
And
DCI,
and ES
and
DPP.
DPP.
Yeah.
let me tell you, in my view,
Yeah.
and I
Let's
stand
strengthen
corrected
them.
on it, they are all independent bodies.
Okay, folks, let's
So
look at tweets.
who
Let's
is
look
the,
at
who
tweets.
is the,
Let's look at tweets if you don't mind. Simon Kabiro, ask the honourable senators if the minority
talk
MPs
about
get
the
the House
House
allowances, what will the majority voters get?
Good services, less corruption, okay, and a legacy for, you know who.
Are you guys too many? Do you think you're too many?
Oh, no.
67 senators, 349 MPs. How many MCAs? 1,450 or something?
2,200 because of the nominated.
Gee.
No, we're not.
Come
we're
on,
not.
man.
You know, Jeff, people forget how big Kenya is.
It's not big. It's as
People-
big as
let me
France.
tell you.
It's as big as France.
No, let
or
me tell you.
Texas.
Okay, let me tell you something. The land mass, the amount of where people live. You know, Jeff, you've lived in the UK.
Yeah.
You've lived in the US.
Yes.
You know, people in those countries live together.
Right.
Here, we are
Spread
sparsely
out.
distributed.
But she lived in Texas. Texas is the size of Kenya. She knows this.
It is. But did you how big is Texas? There are 2 senators. Narrow County only has 1 senator. Okay?
Texas has.
Okay,
so
how many
Kenya has
representatives?
47.
No, let's go. How many representatives are in Texas?
It depends on the size.
It
huh?
depends on the size of
they
the
are
state,
They are state representatives.
Right. And
And
Okay.
then- yeah.
You know, in Texas, let's look at it this way. In the US, there are 3 levels of government. There is a local,
Yep.
there is a state,
And there's
a
And there's
federal.
the national,
Federal.
the federal.
Okay,
yeah.
so really, we're not many.
No?
You know, no.
Senator, what do you think?
No, we need to represent
I think we're
Kenya.
too many.
I think sometimes I think we are many. I truly will say
agree
that
with
on
you.
that one. I think we are too
I
many.
agree with you. Odongo Chot says, the cheap way of doing this, let Parliament get a land bill, let get a land, build houses, and force them to stay there as they pay rent. Alternatively, would be to build a hotel complex and do the business. And that's what you said earlier on.
I said in
No,
yes.
no.
No,
There's somewhere
It
where you-
happens in
where people-
Tanzania,
in Tanzania.
and Zambia. However, I think it's a very expensive way to go.
It's
Like you
more
just said, we
expensive.
are very many.
No, but let me ask you, didn't you see what PSC did? They
No.
submitted 3 proposals to SRC.
Which were?
One was house all the MPs in a hotel.
In a hotel.
It was coming to 1.4 B
Imagine
a
that.
year.
Paid by
Imagine
us.
A year
that.
paid
Yes,
by
of
you.
course.
Okay? But if you,
So I don't think you
amount of
want that
money-
option.
No, we don't want that at all.
Okay. Thank you. Wamalwa says, after the end of their term as senators in 2022, what do they want to be? Aha.
Gotcha.
You know what? I'm a senator right now. I want to dedicate my time as senator. 2022 comes, then I'll declare my interest.
Listen to this.
I
BS.
would say. Okay, Jeff, on that one,
Yes.
I love my job right now. I love being a senator and what I can do for my people.
Do you want to do
So for right
you want
now,
to do 2 terms?
I don't know. When we get to that point,
Yeah.
We will.
actually for me, God will guide me to what direction.
Amen.
This man wants to be president in 2032. Right?
As
You've
long
declared
as
that,
it's not
right?
I've declared that. And you know, and I hope that Omosh, you know, my Baba,
Yes.
you know, with from Flair by Betty, will always be there to make sure that he makes me look good.
In fact, I
You know?
noticed online they kept asking, he took away the afro, and I
no,
was
the
like,
afro is
gosh.
still there.
You should see what they're saying now. We
No,
should
Jeff,
take a break so that he
Jeff.
can comb his hair.
Jeff, look at
They
my
are
hair.
really
Look
hard
at your hair.
tacklers.
I mean, this hair is styled,
It
man.
looks cool, man.
We are really
It looks
talking
cool.
about hair. Like we tell the show,
done.
the
We're
men
done.
are talking about hair. There is a problem.
Okay.
Let me ask you, isn't our hair cool?
I can't answer that on national TV.
Senator. So let's say you do 2 terms.
Yes.
Would you want to be governor at some point?
I don't know. I think I'll I'll cross the bridge when we get there.
Absolutely.
You see politicians answer.
No, but I'll give you
2032?
2032, God willing, I pray to God to keep me. I will seek the mandate from the Kenyans to show them the way forward. And in fact, Jeff, what I'm doing at the moment, I'm writing a book called The Way Forward. In this book, I am going to ensure that every single household in this country has a copy of that book.
Very good.
Can you see that? President Ole Kina?
Kina.
Absolutely.
Just remember us when you become president.
Shad Dirango. I'm not surprised that both senators support the House allowance. Yes, it's expensive being a politician. However, think of the Mamamboga and Mjengo guy, who are the actual taxpayers. It's hard living in Kenya.
Boss,
I agree.
we are taxpayers as well.
No,
Yeah,
I agree with that statement.
but
I know what she's saying.
Huh?
No, I agree with what she's saying.
Yes, yes.
But I think what we ought to do now is that we need to make sure that Mama Mboga has a good market to be able to expand her business. And this goes back to the manufacturing sector that I was talking about. We build a manufacturing sector.
Yeah.
We ensure that we can be able to sell what is within what we grow.
Yeah.
Alafu,
I think we also need to give them a better business environment so that you
Yes.
don't have them paying all these taxes
Right.
when it's Mama Mboga and she's barely making it.
Okay. Isaac Uchieng Mboya says, Jeff, the questions the governors should answer are, was the amount allocated from Treasury inclusive of the alleged national government vote heads? If no, fine. If yes, then did the governors return the amount or they spent it? Remember those line items?
that's a question for the governors to answer.
Oh, okay.
When they appear before us.
We don't know the answer yet.
We don't know the answer.
We'll wait. Not
Okay.
preempt.
So if they spent 973 million on State House functions,
then there is a problem.
Committee.
okay. Last tweet, Esther Moshai says they should wait for Jubilee Housing Project if they can't afford the housing
Poetic
in Nairobi.
justice.
Whose houses are they occupying in Nairobi? Wanjiko's?
Wow, that's a hard tackle right
That's
there.
a good one.
Got a
Thank you,
tough
Esther
crowd.
Muchai.
Tough crowd. Is this the last one? And what's the SMS you were saying, Monica? You're saying there's some SMS.
No.
Huh? Oh, someone says, Mwambia Ledama, hiyo nywele sio mbaya.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
I'm still waiting. On whose? Oh, from you. What's your name again?
Whoa. Jeff is rigging.
Which one? Okay. All right, folks. Monica sent me a whole bunch of questions. All right, so we've talked about your future or wherever you guys want to end up, and you didn't talk about it very much. But the question is, moving forward as a nation, we'll start with you, Mheshimiwa Senator. Moving forward, because there's a lot of mistrust. There's a lot of hope that's being lost in this country. What do you tell Kenyans? What do you tell people out there who are looking at you guys? You're in your mid-30s or early 40s. You're so young, and you are the future. What do you tell them now?
Really, and I'll answer that question in my position as a senator. What I'll start with is tell them that we are going to work very hard as a House, a Senate, to make sure that we get them the money that they need at the county level from the national government. And that's why sometimes, even as last week, we voted against, or we amended the division against the division of revenue from 310 to 335.
Yes.
The point being, we need them to have more money at the county level so that services can be provided. However, in addition to getting them more money, we are going to make sure that we oversight that money properly so that they can get the water that they need, they can get the roads done that they need, they can get their ECDs, the teachers hired, they can have medicine when they go to the hospitals, and they can get services and good quality lives, because there is money from the government for that, and we must stop corruption so that we are able, and the country is able to provide services for these people.
I have another question for you, but let the senator here finish, and then I'll come back to you.
I'm very hopeful about the future. I think the moment that we as Kenyans begin taking responsibilities, that even we can be able to change Kenya, then we can definitely be able to move forward. Number one, we need to ensure, as legislators, we need to involve citizens more on the budget formulation process. We need for them to understand how their money is being spent. I think county governments also have got to come up with ways of increasing their own source revenue, because currently there's a huge reliance on the national government to be able to, on the shareable revenue. We also need to be honest with each other. We don't live forever. There's a level of corruption which is stupid. I saw yesterday someone saying a tycoon in Nigeria buried his father in a brand new BMW.
Correct.
You bury them, some hooligans will just go remove it, dump the body. All of us must remember that we have got a responsibility. When you go to sleep, when you wake up in the morning, you must understand that you have to leave this country a better place than you found it.
Yeah.
I would want to plead with His Excellency Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. You know, I want to be as critical as I can be, but I still have faith that you, if you sit down and look at where you've come from, you know, you'd want every Kenyan to be able to be where you are today. You know, our environment is important.
Yeah.
All of us must stop all this nonsense of destroying our forest. You know, Jeff, you and I went to the Mau Forest.
We did.
You know, and let me tell you, this year, there's no BS. This year, I begin the fencing of that forest. You know, and it is me, you. In fact, Susan Kihika is giving me 4 million for 1 kilometer.
Well done. Well done.
You know,
Well done. Yes.
you know, and the people of Nakuru.
Yeah. But
you know,
you, but
and
you
I'm pretty sure
you are soliciting
you can be able,
funds yourself.
Yeah.
myself, I'm putting my own money, I'm putting money from my friends,
Yeah.
from entities.
Yeah.
It is not about Ledama. It is about all of us. You know, there are gentlemen who are coming out and saying we want to plant trees. Right now we are planting more trees.
So climate change is real.
You know, climate
Oh,
change
yeah,
is real.
absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
the only way we are going to save this country is that if we all remember that we have a responsibility. And we must take that responsibility and ensure that when we are all long gone,
Yeah.
people will say there was a gentleman called Ledama and he cared about something,
Yeah.
and this is what he left.
Yeah.
You know, this greed where we are taking too much and bragging about it will not help us.
No.
There's a lot of fake currencies in this country. In Kilimani around here, there's a lot of fake
Every
currency.
day, every day.
Every other
single
day.
day.
Yeah.
And you know why? Because people want to find out a better way.
It's greed.
Because the government,
Yeah.
we in parliament,
Yeah.
and that's why I keep on saying, Jeff, we in parliament have failed this nation. We've got to read the bills, we've got to put the executive to check, and we let the judiciary and the institutions do their job.
Yeah.
My colleague here would not be complaining and saying that this year is being selective if we ourselves did our job properly.
True.
Real quick
Absolutely.
and quick answers. Have we borrowed too much from China?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, I
God.
think so. I
Yeah.
think, really, that one we must be objective. I think as a country, we must reevaluate the level at which we are borrowing.
Yeah.
Because I think it's a national security issue.
And
at
we're
the end of the
mortgaging
day.
our kids and our kids' kids.
Absolutely.
Jeff,
Yeah.
the moment I had, whether it was true or not,
Yeah.
that my two friends, Uhuru and Raila, came back empty-handed, whether it was true or not, that's a disclaimer.
Sure. No,
my friend,
no, they
you
got
don't
40
know-
billion to upgrade the
Let me
old
tell you,
railway.
but on the whatever amount of money,
368.
368,
Yes.
to get, and you know, people think that SGR is in her county. It is actually in my county. It is in Narok County, it is not Naivasha. It
That's
is
why-
Narok. So let me finish this.
Yes.
The moment I had that,
Yes.
Jeff, 18, I celebrated. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, yes, 18-year-olds.
I wouldn't know anything.
It was,
What? I
you
wouldn't know
he
anything
knows.
about Glenn.
You know,
I wouldn't know
it was-
anything about
oh,
that.
She just said
Okay,
it. She just said it. You know,
Yeah.
I celebrated. I was so happy because
Yes.
there's no point
Yeah.
where, you know, some people are even afraid of giving birth nowadays. Because when the child comes out,
But there's
$1,000 in debt, 100,000 shillings in debt.
That we
So
owe,
some people are
that we
afraid.
owe
but-
China.
That we owe China.
And I also
You know-
think we are letting, not even outside of the debt. When we have these Chinese doing whatever it is they are doing in the country,
Yes.
I think we are giving them too much blank checks, basically. So you have them doing every other kind of job, you know, so that when you see them in our counties and they don't employ anybody from the county, barely, then I wonder sometimes what we are doing.
Do you have Chinese in Nakuru County?
Oh, yes.
Not just building roads and doing stuff. Are they hawking? Are they...
Oh, no.
No, I haven't seen them hawking, but I've seen
businesses?
them building roads or whatever with some businesses and all that. However, you see a lot of, they bring their own employees and all that.
Yeah.
So I think, and that's where as legislators we must do something.
Nara County?
We must stop that.
Chinese?
Let me tell you, the only ones who are there are the ones building the rail. Because there, what will they do? They will not keep cows, will not give them our land. I just told them, you guys, you come and build your rails, you're not giving us for free, and you go back to your country. Which, and then finally, I must say this, we must learn to live within our means.
True.
You know, development is good, but can we learn, you know, can we, this year I've put a challenge, which I'm going to share with my sister here, and guess what? Because she's aggressive, she's going to be able to go head on with me. I'm going to create 300 entrepreneurs in Narok. And they will revolve around the products which are produced in Narok. Sell them.
Like what?
You know, let me tell you, we have sugarcane.
Okay.
Transmara Sugar Company
Yeah.
produces a lot of
You
sugar.
have wheat.
We have wheat.
Yeah, yeah.
We have corn. We have beans. We have potatoes. Now you think about it this way, Jeff. My ward the ward that I come from, Eldermat, there are kids who have gone to school, they are jobless. If I can put 10 of them together, you know, give them some, invite you, I put them little money, invite my dear sister here to come, and then we go to the youth fund, we start a small kiosk there for them, and then how did Alibaba start?
That's right.
Just
You
like
know,
that.
so you now you use technology to make sure that that community buys products from them.
Yeah.
Senator, this one's specifically for you from one of your county mates, right? Please ask on behalf of Nakuru people, the state of Lake Nakuru chopper crash insurance cover for families. They said you've forgotten about them. They're pleading with you.
Who is pleading?
I don't know the
Some
name. They
random
just say,
person.
I guess they must have suffered, or they have a family member who
The
died.
families are pursuing the insurance on their own, meaning that's between the families and the insurance companies. Yeah, so that's nothing public at this point, because it has not happened yet. It is still in the process, yes. So once it happens, then, I mean, when they say I've forgotten, I haven't forgotten. We're still pursuing that. However, I'm not the insurance company. So there's only so much I can do.
You can do as Senator.
Exactly. So I say everybody to just be patient. The families are still following up on that. And in the right time, then it will happen. And it's not something that we bring out to the public every day.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, my dear. I'm glad I asked you.
Sure.
I hope you're not too angry that I
No,
asked you.
no, no.
You didn't
Why?
ask about Solai. She's done a fantastic
Oh,
job.
Solai.
You did
A
it.
year
It's the
tomorrow.
anniversary.
It's
Tomorrow.
yeah.
Tomorrow is 1 year. May 9th.
May
She's
9th,
done a lot
actually.
of, you know.
We've worked very hard, but we are still... Actually, we were in the committee
Same
together
committee.
because we set it up.
Yeah.
And I made sure that we had the very good, aggressive
And
senators to
compensation?
be able to do that.
Compensation?
Still hasn't happened,
You
but...
know, let me tell you, and this is where I agree with my colleague here. Some of these institutions, you know, I agree and I disagree with her when it comes to the DCI and the ESCC.
Right.
But to be honest with you,
Yeah.
you know, we had serious recommendations.
Yes.
I remember that.
You know,
report. I
very
remember
we
that.
had
serious, as a
serious
committee.
recommendations.
And yet the owner took off to the UK or whatever it was.
Let me tell you, Jeff, you know what is so sad? Let me not say this.
No, say it. I mean...
You know, some people benefited from the people of Salai dying.
From the deaths of
You know,
47
from
people.
others were even trying to stop us from doing the report because they pocketed billions.
But that's again where we must say that at some point, it doesn't matter who disagrees with you. At some point, as long as you believe you're doing the right thing and you're helping those without a
But
voice.
the law takes effect, right? And these people should be compensated.
Oh, absolutely.
Immediately.
And that's why we fought
Let
this
me tell
hard.
you,
So we are
immediately.
still not there. We went back there, wasn't
We
it?
went about
even we
2
went with the
months
legal
ago.
committee, with the
Yeah.
legal committee, and
Yes.
it is sad.
It's 1
Jeff.
year
It is
tomorrow,
sad.
guys.
1 year
1 year
tomorrow.
tomorrow.
Jeff, do you know
Somebody.
What Maraga should do? Maraga should take that file and come out and tell Kenyans, we are going to prosecute this matter in a record 7 days. Okay? I don't give a hoot in hell about a million witnesses.
Right.
What are the million witnesses?
Yeah.
Kenyans are all witnesses, they have seen it.
Yeah.
You know, it's an illegality.
What I think is sad, it seems there is 2 levels of justice in this country.
Terrible.
There is justice for those with money
Yeah.
who can mistreat people for this long. A year later, we have no compensation. Nothing has really, not much has been done.
No.
And yet they're just walking around.
It's very sad. It
They're
is
walking
very
around,
sad.
yes.
Scot-free.
A year later.
Yeah.
So when you see us angry, but we shall keep pushing. We shall make sure that these people get the compensation.
They will.
Yeah.
They
Keep
will.
pushing. Keep
will.
pushing.
I mean, you have,
It's
say,
up to
even
you.
beyond for the people who lost their lives, those who are injured,
Yeah.
the ones who are left homeless.
Yes.
You also now have land where the
5,000 plus.
soil was swept away, so they can't farm, they can't get anything out of it.
They can't
So
do
what are they
nothing.
going to eat
It's a
for the rest
domino
of the year?
effect.
They can't
It
do
is
nothing.
terrible.
You know, and you see, the sad part is that if you look at the MCA Act, when a restoration order is issued, you must make good of that order. So what excuse is my dear brother Kiriako going to give us now if that restoration order issued, you know, was never effective?
Yeah. Guys,
And then you have when the public and the area MCA comes out to demonstrate against it, they are put in.
Because-
and they are charged, so the bond is so much. You know, it's
because there are
ridiculous.
higher powers, there are more powerful
Exactly,
people.
they are more powerful people
You know
than
what?
these poor
You know what they
families.
forget?
But there is a God in
They'll all
heaven.
end up in
Right
6
there,
feet
6 feet
under.
under.
But we are still fighting on that one. Yeah.
Guys, it's almost midnight.
Oh, we didn't
Oh, is
even
it?
realize.
You never know.
When you're having fun, you don't
Time
even.
flies when you're having fun. Thanks so much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming all the way from Mombasa.
Thank you.
And you from the UK.
Yes.
Goodness.
Just
But
for
we
you.
are on
and
research.
Kenyans.
Yeah.
And Kenya.
Just in case they wonder why.
You guys are the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
President 2032.
Absolutely.
Governor.
That's right.
2022.
2022.
She admitted now. She admitted. Thanks so much for being a part of this show. This is no doubt the future of Kenya. And yes, there are issues, there are problems. They say nothing's perfect, but maybe in their time, they will make things better. They will undo the things that have just gone wrong over the years. Maybe this is the generation that will change things. Thanks so much, Nakuru County Senator Susan Kihika, Narok County Senator Ledama Olekina. Appreciate their time. Thank you so much, folks.
Thank you.
Join me tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. on the hottest breakfast show in all of Africa on Hot 96. Hashtag Jeff and Hamo on Hot. And every Wednesday, don't forget, it's all about those 3 letters on the keyboard that follow each other. JKL. Right here on Citizen Television. Thanks so much. Good night, good luck. And God bless this great nation of ours called Kenya. Well done, guys.
Do you sleep?